All right, so in this video, we're gonna break down the second part of that auction that we spent a total of $851.50. We showed you the first part where Charlotte bid on that big pile of scrap, and we did all right. But then we were gonna include that all in one video, but you know, things happen. We ended up getting sick and we had to kind of cut things out and revamp. Yeah, we had to split it up. So we were actually doing the video and included this next part. So I'm not exactly sure where we're going to come into the second part of the auction, but we just wanted to do an opening to let you know what was going on.
And we did it over several different days and different.
A couple of weeks now, actually.
Yeah, and so it's kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we kind of forgot what we were doing earlier, you know, because it's been so long. It's been a couple of weeks or almost 2 weeks.
It's just part two of that
big auction. Yep.
Scrap pile auction. It's what Gary was bidding on while I was bidding on the pile.
Yeah.
And he breaks it down for you and shows you what we made off that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We didn't do too bad. We didn't do too bad on her auction, and we didn't do too bad on that we're going to show you right now.
Yeah.
So, all right. So
it's all in all a great auction.
Yeah, it was a pretty good auction. All right. We hope you enjoy the video. All right. So as you know, we spent $51.50 on all this stuff. So to get a 20% profit, we need to turn it into $61.80. So let's go over this real quick here. So we got us a voltage booster for $2. We got us some shutoffs for $2. We got some doorknobs for $2. Tin snips and miscellaneous tools for $2. I won't make any money off of that. But then we got a pallet of electrical stuff, and the whole pallet was $20. So I won that bid for $20. I'll show you all this stuff here. Extension cords for $5. Hardware choice for $5. Tools for $12.50. That was a spud bar that I bought. And then air regulators for $1. And then the scrap. So that is the voltage booster, and I paid $2 for that thing. That's pretty darn heavy. Here's the cutoffs. This is the miscellaneous tools. I bought this because they got some really nice punches in here, and you know, I use them quite a bit, so you can always use more of them. So for $2, you couldn't go wrong there. Okay, doorknobs. These are the doorknobs. A lot of brass in there. I paid $2 for that. Here, these are the air regulators that I paid $1 for. There's a little bit of brass on each of them, and then aluminum. So I can get $1 out of that easily. This is the extension cord for $5 that I got. Some heavy duty cord there. And this pallet. This was all on one pallet. This is all electrical. I bid it up to $20, and you know, that's not going to help me any. But just, you know, these all aluminum stuff. We got some old breakers here. What's in here? Oh, a whole bag of this. Oh, it's all aluminum. Yeah. All right. Bunch of outlets. All right. Oh, there's some good strippable copper. Our thermocoupplers. They look like they're brand new. All right. We'll be good with that. And here looks like boxes of brand new fuses. All right, we can get some copper off that. Fuses. Electrical tape. Okay. Whole bunch of fuses in here. All right, I think we're gonna do all right on this. Bunch of outlets. All right, so let's go ahead and start tearing this down. And we need to get $61.80 out of this. All right, so first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna try to tear this these doorknobs apart, and there's usually a lot of brass in them. We'll figure it out though. We'll see what's brass and what's not. Magnet test. If it's steel, it's going right in the steel. Yeah, these are steel. Okay, so we just tore apart those shut-off boxes and the doorknobs. We got some copper here and we got some brass here. Let's just for kicks and giggles, let's see where we're at here. Zero that out. This is all the copper. 1.75 pounds. All right, not too bad. And we'll zero this out again and dump the brass in here. All right, there's all the brass. And it comes out 2.5 pounds. All right. Okay, so for the copper, I come up with, that's worth $8.10. And the brass, that is $6.70. So what's that, $14.80? So we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good because we only spent $4 on that. So we're up quite a bit. I think we'll do all right on those. I think we'll do all right on this $2 item here. And let's go ahead and cut these extensions, these heavy duty extensions we paid $5 for, see if we can make some money on that. Okay, so as we do this extension cord, let's figure out what's the best value for our money here. I have right here cut off 1 pound of this extension cord, which I can get $1.30 for. So let's go ahead and strip this down because this has looks like I'm not sure if that's 12 gauge. I'm guessing it's probably 12 gauge wires in there. Let's see if we can get better value by stripping this down. All right, so here's what we're left with after we stripped it down. Let's go weigh it up and see what it's worth. All right, we'll turn the scale on. It's at 0 and put this on there. And what does that weigh? 0.25 pounds. Okay, so this is what we ended up with. This is what we're throwing in the trash now. And we were getting $1.30 as is if it was all together. So after we scrapped it all down, we got 0.25 pounds at, and it's number 2 copper. It's all dirty. It's at 463 pounds, $1.16. So we actually took a loss there. Even if it turned out to be Bear Bright and Bear Bright was paying $5.10 a pound, it would only be $1.28. That is a very low recovery wire, and they're going to give me $1.30 for it. I'm going to take it every time. So this is going into the extension cord. All right, so we got done tearing all that electrical wire apart, and we got some brass, some nice chunk of brass there. That's some aluminum. And then this is the copper, you know, the 0.25 pounds that we kind of ripped ourselves off on. And then all the connector ends. And, of course, the wire. We'll go ahead and zero this tub out right here. We'll see how much copper we ended up with. And it gets us 0.3 pounds, 0.35 pounds. All right, we'll take it. And we will take the brass. And we got 0.85 pounds of brass. It's not bad. See, we need to make this $5 object turn into $6 to get our 20%. All right, I'll set this on here. Zero that out. We'll put our cast aluminum. And we get us 0.75 pounds. All right, and we're gonna put our wire in here. So we need to zero this tub out. Okay, we're at 0. Here's our wire. Look at that, 5.9 pounds. That more than pays for itself. Just the wire, 5.9. All right, so we'll get a total at the end of this video here. Okay, next we're moving on to this voltage meter. This is pretty good size. Got a lot. It's got some weight to it. This cost us $2. Voltage meter, voltage booster, I guess. $2. All right, let's weigh this up. 0, put her on there, and it comes to 14.5 pounds. So that's got some beef to it. Let's tear it apart and see what we got. All right, so before I realized it, I didn't have the recorder going, and got all broke down pretty much. This is all just shred. Put it there, running the shred. Got some cord here, and got 2 decent sized transformers. Let's break these apart and see what they're made of. It's all copper wiring, so that's a good sign. All right, let me get this cleaned up and we'll weigh it up then. All right, so we got that voltage booster broke down, and what we got was number 2 copper. Then I got the power supply cord. So let's go ahead and weigh this stuff up. Power supply cord. We're at zeros, and that comes to a quarter pound. Quarter of a pound. Number 2 copper. Let's go ahead and zero this tub out right here. And this is what we got. I cleaned it all up, got all that paper and everything off of that. So make the scrap yards happy. And surprisingly, look at that. We got 2.45 pounds. Not bad. Yeah, not bad for a $2 buy. All right. All right, so what we have left is this table, the skid that I paid $20 for. So actually, and there's something in here that I paid $5 for, and I don't remember what it was. So this whole table here was $25 when it's all said and done. Try to get at least $30 worth of value out of this by breaking stuff down, throwing stuff in the shred, trying to get $30 worth of stuff, and then we're gonna call it a day. We'll add everything up, and then we will go ahead and I'll show you the results, I'll show you the numbers, and Charlotte and I can write this auction off. Right, Charlotte?
Yes.
All right, so this has been a long one. All right, so let's go ahead and start breaking this stuff down here. Like starting off right here. These are aluminum. There's a whole bag of it. So we can weigh that up, and then we can grab the shred, and we can start weighing that stuff up, and we can grab the little things like this, start weighing that stuff up. And when I get to a total of $30, we're gonna call it a day, and then we'll add up our numbers and see that I'm sure that we come out way ahead of our 20%. All right, so that's a couple of boxes that we broke down out of that pile. I think we're trying to hit $30 off of that $20 or $25 auction bid. Just weigh some things up that we broke down so far and see where we're at, see how close we are to that 20% that I like to get, and maybe we'll be done. I don't know. Let's go ahead and check this out. So this is a copper that we've gotten out of that stuff. We got aluminum plus what's on the table right here, all this aluminum here, and wire. All right, so here's our wire that we're gonna weigh up here. We got her zeroed out, and throw on this wire. We're at 2.7 pounds. This is our copper. Let's put it on here and zero that out. Not very good. 0.55 pounds. And our aluminum. We'll zero that out. That in there. And that gives us 3.9 pounds. All right, so I got a good amount of electrical outlets in this mix of stuff. I'm gonna show you how I take these apart here. I'm gonna get, these are usually brass, sometimes they're copper. We'll take those out first. All right, so these little screws here, they're brass. They're going to be brass. They look like copper, but they're brass. Those are also. So those are our brass. And then to get the rest of the copper out of here, there's parts inside brass and copper inside there. I'm just going to use my vise here and just crush it. And see all the only thing that's left is just this metal frame. And the rest is either copper or brass. Let's check it out here. So that's copper, and this is copper as well. So we got a couple of chunks of copper. And the rest is trash. All right. So I'll go ahead and start doing the rest of these here. Just set you up so you can watch.
Okay, so I have all of those light socket or those outlets broke down. They're all in piles of junk. I've got wire. I've got a little tub full of brass right here. I got some aluminum, some copper, and I pretty much broke this whole table down kind of off camera because it was mostly just separate and shred. Because I've got 2 5-gallon buckets pretty much full, and it was mostly, you know, just boxes like this and just little things, little tools and light sockets and everything that you can think of that was just shred. This box is just all trash. This box right here is just all screws. And I'm probably just gonna throw them in the shred because they are all, look at this, flathead screws. I have no use for those. I don't use them anymore. But this box right here, bunch of fuses. There's a whole bunch of fuses in here. And some electrical tape, so I'll keep that. But we're gonna break all these down here lastly and get the copper. I'll show you how I do it, and then I'll just go ahead and start taking them apart, and then we're gonna weigh everything up. All right, so let's get these fuses here. I'll just put them in my vise. Just try to crush them. Get a pair of channel locks and try to maneuver that cap off of there. That way it doesn't leave any of the plastic or the fiberglass around it. And just dump all this sand out. There we go. Nice clean pieces of copper. All right, so let's go ahead and get some final numbers here and see how we did on this auction. So we spent $51.50 on it, and we were trying to make $61.80 to get our 20%. Hopefully we make a little bit more. Let's find out. Okay, I'm finally done with this. And this was a long process here. So we're gonna go ahead and weigh everything up and see if we can come up to, I think we said 30 bucks. So let's go ahead and turn the scale on here. All right, turn that scale on, and we're gonna put this empty tub on there and tear that out. We're gonna weigh this wire up right here. 0.8 pounds. And we're gonna weigh up the aluminum here. We got a good hefty amount of aluminum. And that comes up to 6.4. All right, that's pretty good. Okay, let's weigh this brass up. Nice bunch of brass. 1.95. All right. All right, let's weigh this copper up here. That's everything. There's a couple transformers in here. That's where this stuff come from. So, and we got 2.25 pounds of copper. And finally, we need to weigh up our shred. 62 pounds minus 4 pounds for the tubs or the buckets. So 58 pounds of shred. All right, so let's add these numbers up and see what we came up with. This was just basically that $25 pallet of electrical supplies. And then we'll go ahead and get the numbers up from earlier in the video. And we'll get a complete total. See if we hit our $61.80 mark. Okay, so with this pallet of electrical supplies, I got all the numbers added up. We paid $25 for it. I wanted to make 20%, so that would be 30 bucks. And as you can see, all the numbers added up. We ended up making $34.79 off of that one. So if we want to go through the whole auction, recapping things that we broke down earlier here, I have them all written down here. The shutoff switches and the doorknobs. We broke those down first, and then we added up the numbers. Or then we weighed it, and now I added the numbers up there. So we're at, we had 1.75 pounds of copper. We had 2.5 pounds of brass, and you can see the numbers there. Then we tore that electrical wire apart, and it had all those connectors on it, and there was a lot of brass and aluminum in those. So we also determined that it was better to just throw the wire in as is versus breaking it down. So you can see the numbers there, and then that voltage booster, we tore that apart and had a nice couple transformers in there, and we got almost 2.5 pounds of copper out of that, a little bit of wire. So all those numbers added up together, the cost was $51.50, and all these numbers added up together come up to total revenue of $73.56. So we got our 20%. All right, so that's pretty darn good. We're happy with that. The only thing that we're not happy with is that took us forever. Plus we got sick. All right, so we met our goal, and I guess that's about all you can ask for. We did a little better, so that was a lot of work though involved in that, breaking all that stuff down, wasn't it, Charlotte?
Yeah.
Took us a long time, yeah. Plus getting sick, and that didn't help matters any.
Not at all.
I didn't like that at all. But hey, we just came back from another auction, and I think we did really good on that one there. So we'll have to get that out next time. I guess that's all we got for you today, and we got to get all this scrap to the scrapyard so we can get paid, right?
Yeah.
All right. So thanks for watching.
Bye.